book is Curious George Goes to a Bookstore. George was a good little monkey and always very curious. Today, George and his friend, the man with the yellow hat, were going to the grand opening of a bookstore in their neighborhood.
Yay!
George's favorite author was going to be signing her latest Penny the Penguin picture book. He had every Penny book she'd ever written. He couldn't wait to meet her. But when they arrived at the bookstore, they found a long line that zigzagged between bookshelves. "We'll purchase the book first and then wait in the line to get it signed," said his friend. "There are lots of kids who also love Penny the Penguin." The line inched forward and stopped, inched forward and stopped. George climbed on his friend's shoulders and tried to take a peek at the author, but he was small. She was hidden by the crowd. He looked around the bookstore. So many new books! What stories would they hold inside? What funny characters would he meet? "Be a good little monkey and don't wander off too far," said the man with the yellow hat, letting George down and picking up a bird-watching guide from a nearby shelf. "You wouldn't want to miss getting your book signed." George was happily flipping through the storybooks when he noticed the wonderful smell of banana bread. It made his stomach rumble. George was curious. Could there be food in a bookstore? Food and drink were never allowed in the library. George decided to find out. As soon as he turned the corner, he discovered glass shelves filled with baked goods instead of books. It was a small cafe. Next to the cabinet was a table with a sign advertising for free samples. George watched people help themselves to little squares of banana bread. He took one too. Yum! The little girl saw George and tucked on her father's sleeve. "Daddy, look! That monkey likes banana bread too." "Yes, I suppose monkeys would enjoy banana bread," he responded, still looking at his book. While George was reaching for another sample, and then another, and another, he saw the little girl and her father leave the cafe area. Tucked under the girl's arm was George's favorite dinosaur book. He decided to follow them. They led him past the display of dinosaur books and in the science area of the store. The display was as tall as the man with the yellow hat. It was hard to resist them for a little monkey who loves to climb. George climbed on the first tire. With so many books to look at, he wasn't sure where to start. He saw his favorite dinosaur book, but he also saw other books. One pictured an apatosaurus eating leaves. Another showed pterodactyls soaring above waterfalls. He climbed from tire to tire until he reached the top. From above, he noticed a stack of boxes in the corner of the store. The boxes were shaped like presents, but the bows and wrapping paper were missing. What could be inside them? George leaped down and opened the boxes. They each contained a stack of the newest Penny the Penguin picture books. George wondered, why were books in boxes? They should be in a big display like the dinosaur books. George had an idea. George got to work right away. He balanced the books one by one as if he were building with blocks. People in the line marveled at what he was doing, except the man with the yellow hat, who was engrossed in his new bird-watching guide. The Tower of Books grew and grew and grew, and so did the crowd's amazement. "What a wonderful display," said the woman. "Wow, look what that monkey made," exclaimed the little boy. "Stop!" shouted a nearby bookseller. "You shouldn't have opened the boxes." But George was having too much fun to notice. From the top of the display, George looked down and finally saw the bookseller, the manager, and the man with the yellow hat peering up at him. "That monkey opened all our boxes for the signing," complained the bookseller. The manager smiled at George. "He certainly did, and now we don't have to. I think his Tower of Books is a masterpiece." The manager asked George if he would like to help with the signing. George was delighted. He would finally meet his favorite author. George made sure each book was open to the right page, ready for the author's signature. He thought it was funny that her name was Penny, just like the penguin in her books. As she finished signing the last book, Penny turned to George and smiled. "Thank you so much for all your help today. It was great to have the extra hands and feet, but there's one book I still need to sign." She inscripted the book and handed it to George. Inside was a note saying, "To my new friend George, keep reading." Yay! George loved his new book. It was special and one of a kind. He had such an adventurous day at the bookstore, he couldn't wait to visit again. The end. What is your favorite part of the story? My favorite part of the story is when George was sampling the banana bread.
This book is Curious George, a Home for Honeybees. George and Steve like to build things. "You two are good builders, like bees," said Betsy. George was curious. Bees could build things? Bees make honeycombs inside their hives to store honey, Betsy said. She gave some to George and Steve to taste. Betsy showed them her poster from Earth Day. Bees build hives in trees to lay their eggs and store honey. All the bees follow a queen bee. She's the biggest bee in the hive. Worker bees go to flower, getting nectar and pollen to make honey. But the honeycomb was very sweet. When Betsy left for dance class, George and Steve ate the whole thing. They needed to find more honeycomb. George and Steve went to the park to look for a beehive tree. "Be careful! Bees can sting," Steve said. George could not find the hive, but he found something else. He saw a beekeeper at the Earth Day festival in the park. "This is a beehive," the beekeeper said. "I built it myself. It works the same way as a hive in a tree." The bees make honeycomb for the forms in the top box. The box at the bottom is where the queen bee lives and lays her eggs. "You can build your own beehive," the beekeeper said. "Then you can get more honeycomb." They went back to George and Steve's house to get started. Steve drew plans for the hive. George thought building boxes would take a long time. George tried to use straws. Some straws didn't fit together. But the kitchen cabinet would make a great beehive. Surely the man with the yellow hat would not mind. George knew where to get frames. He and Steve put all the parts together. Their beehive was ready to go back to Betsy's house. Now they needed to find some bees. George had an idea. Maybe if their hive had flowers, the bee would move in. But just then, Betsy came home. "I'm sorry we ate all your honeycomb," said Steve. "We built you a hive to make more." Steve and George were worried. Betsy would be angry, but instead she looked happy. "This is the best present ever," Betsy said. "Besides, the piece of honeycomb was for you. I've got lots more." What a relief! Betsy's project was not ruined, and there was more honeycomb. Everyone was happy. Well, almost everyone. The end. What is your favorite part of the story? My favorite part of the story is where they said, well, almost everyone.